If you've got arthritis, cartilage thinning, tendinosis, meniscus tears, or any other connective tissue issues, listen up. It's time for you to get eccentric. And by eccentric, I don't mean weird. That's eccentric. I mean eccentric, as in contracting muscle as it lengthens. This is also known as the negative phase of resistance exercise, where a weight is lowered under tension. Think of a bicep curl. Pulling the dumbbell up is the concentric or positive phase, while lowering the dumbbell down is the eccentric or negative phase. Same thing with a squat. When most people think of squats, they're usually thinking about just the concentric phase, where you stand up. But to get there, you first have to go through the eccentric phase, where you lower the body down. So why does this matter for joint health? Well, let's go down the list, starting with the most important reason you need to get serious about eccentrics starting now, and that's collagen synthesis. The high mechanical tension generated during eccentric exercise stimulates fibroblasts, the cells that produce connective tissue. Over time, this causes ligaments and tendons to become denser and more resistant to injury. Another reason eccentrics rule is pain reduction. People often have trouble completely healing their joints after an injury because the nerve tissues around the joint have become overgrown and sensitive, effectively guarding the joint from further damage, but also cutting it off from the mechanical loading that will actually fix it. Studies have shown that chronic progressive eccentric loading, meaning over months and years, not just a few weeks, can safely reverse this process. It progressively desensitizes nerve tissue and causes the overgrowth to actually retreat, both of which allow the connective tissues to handle more load, which increases collagen synthesis. The next reason you want to be more eccentric: improved shock absorption. Resisting heavy loads eccentrically enhances muscular control around the joint. In other words, eccentric loading builds your body's braking systems, so large impacts or sudden changes in direction don't tear your joints apart. And finally, one more reason eccentrics are amazing: enhanced coordination. Eccentric exercises stretch the fascia under load, which exposes mobility gaps and compensation patterns, prompting the fascia to remodel itself around the joint as it stretches so as to accommodate the load. There's even more reasons eccentrics are like Popeye spinach for your joints. But rather than exhaust you with the science, let's start learning how to apply eccentrics in your own practice. For this example, I'll use sissy squats, one of the go-to exercises I use to keep my knees strong enough to do parkour at age 45, and one that I've used to help many of my senior clients overcome advanced osteoarthritis and even meniscus tears. To start, you want to have a solid assist that can support your body weight. It can be a chair, a wall, a dip bar, a desk, a bike rack, anything. When joints are damaged and in pain, you can't load them heavy right away. So assists are a great way to reintroduce load at its lightest levels and build up tolerance gradually. With both hands on the assist, I clench my legs tight, push my hips forward until my heels come up, and finally start bending my knees and moving down slowly to initiate the sissy. This slow tempo is critical to loading damaged joints safely. If you move too fast, you'll either compensate around weak points to avoid pain, or you'll overload weak points and potentially damage them further. Instead, we want to slowly move towards our weak points and assess the feedback in our joints moment by moment as we go. Here we like to imagine a pain scale between 0 and 10 and try to stay below 3 at all times. 3 out of 10 is where dull or achy joint pain starts to become sharp. This sharpness represents the limit of what your damaged tissues can currently handle. The 3 out of 10 border is also where most people start visibly wincing or pinching their face in some way. That means you have to be aware of when you're doing that and understand that this means you're about to go over the 3 out of 10 border. And just know, as you're going through this, if you go above 3 out of 10, you haven't done anything wrong. It just means you found the border, and now you need to back it up to about a 1 or a 2 level and try to fatigue the position from there. Over time, the better you get at using slow eccentrics, the more precise you'll be in approaching that 3 out of 10 border and never going over. So let's start my sissy again, and here I'll anticipate my first set being a bit achy or painful as my knees aren't warmed up yet. That's fine. I just stay in the shallow early range of the squat, searching for light 1 or 2 out of 10 pain, and when I get there, I stop, double down on squeezing my legs, and start generating muscle fatigue from an isometric position. After about 30 seconds, I'm at a moderate 5 out of 10 level of fatigue, so I'll come up, shake my legs off for 10 to 15 seconds. Here's a video about shaking you should watch, by the way, and then start my next set. Now that I'm warmed up, my knees should tolerate more load. So I use the same slow tempo, and now I find I can move further into the eccentric before hitting the same 1 or 2 out of 10 pain trigger. At this point, I stop again, double down on my leg squeeze, and fatigue the muscles from this position in an isometric again. This time I managed to reach a 7 out of 10 fatigue due to the higher load. In other words, the damaged tissues were able to support more load and higher fatigue at a deeper joint angle. This is how you repair damaged joints in real time. You don't just make the pain go away. That's not a thing. Instead, you load gradually through the eccentric and look for the pain to move further and further down the range. Over time, you'll be able to move further and further until the eccentric range is basically complete. And at that time, you can take the training wheels off and start the same process over without an assist. Got it? Now this was just a brief example and it was focused on the knees. If you want me to make a video about using eccentrics for a different joint or another specific joint issue, leave a comment down below and I'll do it. Until then, stay safe out there, try to have some fun, and happy healing. We'll see you next time.